Welcome to the light. So I'm going to continue posting my notes from the David Burke preliminary hearing. Now, I have a ton to post from Friday, day 4 to continue that, but I realized I forgot to do the second half of day 3. So I'm going to backtrack for a moment here and finish off what I had from day 3. So if you did not watch my first video about day 3, I recommend going to that first so that you get the whole continuation of how everything went in the courtroom. So when we returned from break on day 3, it was Detective William Roker who was still on the stand. And this is the sketch of him above. Now, he had been with the LAPD for 9.5 years, and he's the witness testifying because he's with the FBI LA Violent Crime Task Force and the cellular teams. So he was there talking about the cellular analysis between David's phone and his Tesla, and these trips to Santa Barbara that were taken. So I want to continue going on as to where I left off from that. When we returned from break, Detective William verified that the last time the Tesla had been driven or moved had surveillance video. He used surveillance video, license plate readers, and the Tesla data was July 29th at 2 p.m. That's when it was last driven, and it sat until September 5th. Okay. And that's when, in between that time, that Tesla had racked up some tickets for it not moving, for parking tickets. So after this is when the cross-examination started from the defense side. Now, per usual, the defense always starts with asking about their work history. I always feel like a defense will try to kind of discredit some of these expert witnesses. She asked how many times he's testified in these cases, and he's answered 5 times for federal and 1 state. And then the defense wanted to clarify, so you've testified only for the prosecution? And he said yes. But he was also questioned about his history with LAPD, questioned if he did these reports alone on this PowerPoint that he made, which was presented. And did he make notes to use for this PowerPoint that he worked off of? Has he done other analysis on phones in this case? And he answered yes. So he said that there were many other analyses that he did on phones in this case, which I'm interested to hear that information. We're only hearing such a tiny bit in a preliminary hearing. Remember that. He went on to confirm for the defense that he reviewed records for the phone, and he really didn't examine stuff further on the phone. He only did the call details and this cellular analysis of, where it traveled and everything. The defense again questioned about SIM cards with the Tesla, and he said that things came from the phone company, not the physical Tesla, and that there's no historical GPS data from the phone carriers. The defense questioned if they tested this route that was taken to Santa Barbara, and he said they did not test the car path or from the road to the tower, and the distances were according to records provided by AT&T. Now, here's where the defense tried to poke holes and question the ability of these cellular ranges, right? The frequencies. And it was so painful to listen to because no offense, but it felt like someone who doesn't understand technology trying to ask these questions to an expert, but just completely doesn't understand it. Because she was trying to say, so nothing is exact. These are just general areas, when they're pinpointing everything from the cell towers. And Detective William emphasized that they're not just general areas. These are actually refined because they have a distance for where the device is from the cell tower. And specifically, there was 3 arches from the cell towers in the area of Los Angeles, in West LA and Hollywood that all lined up and intersected, that connected it to where the Tesla and David's phone was. Now, I'll show you kind of my photo. It's a horrible photo. Again, I'm taking notes quick. But basically, it looks like a football field. These dots are cell towers, right? And these are the ranges. Now, the ranges that the phone was picking up on, this is his house. See how they all intersected? This tower, and this tower? They collected information and they all intersected for that phone, boom, right at that house at 1368 Doheny. So, he put the emphasis on you can't deny that. And that type of data, the way it lined up. And they also showed the cell transmissions and images from the Lake Pachuma area and Santa Ynez. Again, I don't have good photos there. I was just trying to dot where these things pinged. He also testified about the data transaction and how the phone accessed the internet from 1:28 to 1:29 a.m. And the defense tried to poke holes saying, well, you can't tell if one person is in the vehicle with this data or a second person. And, detective agreed, yes, you cannot conclude who was driving, just that the devices were in sync with each other. And when they also questioned about the phone call that was made at 12:04 to Celeste, she was asking about like how they know if that call went through or how they understand if it went to voicemail. And he verified that when something goes to voicemail, the records that he goes through indicate 999 number, which means that it went to voicemail. So his analysis, he has a way of understanding these things and determining exactly what happened. More areas that the defense tried to poke holes and verify is they said, well, you can't tell who is holding the phone. And they agreed, right? You're just going based off of the device information. You can only say that this phone was registered to David Burke, but you can't say who's holding the phone at the time. But they also verified that the cell phone, because she was talking about how it seeks out information, and she's like, so if I put my cell phone down, I'm not using it, is it still seeking out information and making these data transactions? Like if I'm not using it, so how does that work in the records? And the detective described that our cell phones always seek out the best and strongest signals, even if you aren't doing anything of them. So when there's data transactions from a cellular device, it may not have been using it exactly in that time, but something else coming into the phone or trying to find the best cell towers, it's going to ping and give a data signal in his analysis. They tried to say that his GPS coordinates that he had on his PowerPoint report were different from the GPS coordinates that the CHP patrol gave regarding finding Celeste's passport card. It was so ridiculous. I wrote the numbers down. Let me see if I can get it there. Like they were not, may not be able to get it. They were not that far off. It was like these GPS coordinates, right? So like the first number being 34.503716. On his report, he had 0.503748 in that first one. Like they tried to poke holes in the smallest of details that honestly it just wasn't going to do anything. And it had been described before, like they pinpointed that area, but they knew where it was. So it's like they were trying to say, can you tell me exactly where these things are? I mean, they're right there. That's like me saying, were you in the house or at the front door, where my front door is like 20 feet away from me? It's the same thing, okay? The location is the same. That was it when it came to the testimony from Detective Williams and all of the cellular analysis and everything. And again, just to sum up what he covered, he really showed how David's phone and the Tesla were traveling completely together. He tried to contact Celeste at 12:04 a.m. A phone call was made out from it. He was able to discover the entire routes, the 3 trips to Santa Barbara, and what times they took place, and follow this route where he charged his Tesla up in Santa Ynez. And he connected a ton of dots there. So it was pretty thorough. Again, I will say listening to the defense try to cross-examine was just really painful during that section. It's like they tried, but they really had nothing to go off of. The next witness that was going to come up is Samantha Tosh, and she's at LAPD Crime Lab who's assigned to the DNA unit going over the DNA. So I'm going to post this one, and then I'm going to make another video talking about all the DNA analysis that happened and the various amounts of swabbing that was done on BLOOD in the vehicle, in the garage, and everything there. So I will see you all in my update number 3 for day 3. As I say, what happens in the dark will always come to the light in this case, and that's what we're exposing, right? And this case is about our victim here, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. I will see you all over in the next one.